Jesse.
Morning.
What's up, brother? What do you know?
Here, right?
Good to see you.
I thought I saw you across the street.
Yeah, I saw you. I was waving at you, but you weren't even looking.
That mic is on. Yeah, I mean, we're good, just let me know.
Mike is hot.
You checking out your, you doing flex? All right.
Good morning. COVID-19 vaccines have been a game changer in our response to a pandemic that has dominated our lives for much of 2 years. Vaccines have proven to be effective against the virus, and now boosters are providing an extra layer of protection. This week, the number of Americans eligible to get a booster is expected to greatly expand. The FDA is expected to authorize boosters of the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines as early as today. And the agency last month authorized booster shots of the Pfizer vaccine for at least 6 months after the second dose. The FDA is also expected to allow Americans to receive a different COVID-19 vaccine as a booster than the one they initially received. And this move could also happen as early as today, providing flexibility to doctors and other vaccinators. The mix and match approach will make it easier for people to get safely vaccinated and move us deeper into safe waters. Vaccines are a path to a future without masks, without plexiglass dividers, and a return to handshakes over elbow bumps. We all crave normal, and we are all tired of the pandemic. The overwhelming majority of Americans want to do what is necessary to keep themselves and others safe. Masks will hopefully someday be resigned to museums, but for now, keep wearing them. Vaccines for children ages 5 to 11 are expected later this year. Until then, we must protect the kids. Pfizer has asked the FDA for approval and could hear as soon as next month that they can provide this vaccine to our younger children. What does all this mean for us in St. Louis County? That we will be ready. The Department of Health is closely monitoring what is going on at the federal level and will be able to provide all the vaccines that are necessary. We will be ready. St. Louis County has the largest public health department in the state with the most robust programs to help our residents. With its 400 employees, the health department stands ready to provide the best care possible, including life-saving vaccines. I want to stop here to make something very clear. Masks are required in indoor public spaces. That includes government buildings. I know there was a bit of confusion about last night's council meeting. There is no confusion in the public health order. There are no exceptions, and elected representatives should not think that they are an exception. And I will not be at a meeting in person until the council follows the public health orders. Defying orders is defying the will of the public and compromising their health and their safety. This is a disappointing time in our history. Instead of coming together, there is a segment of our population that wants to divide us and make us weaker in St. Louis County. And that's sad, but hang in there. We're all in this together. Thanks to all of you who are doing the right thing. And I know that is most of you. Hold tight to the right thing. Hold tight to protecting yourself and others. Not supporting our health department employees is unfortunate. I support them and I thank them for all that they are doing. Public health departments are in place to help the most vulnerable. That's the mission of our department too. Pushing back against the department is pushing back against equity and pushing back against making St. Louis County a better place for all of us. And I will continue standing here until we are in a place where our residents are safe from the pandemic. There can be no other priority. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your feedback, and thank you for doing the right thing. Sadly, we have some elected leaders bowing to the former president, crippling our democracy, and slowing our ability to get past this pandemic. And I hope our elected leaders will see the light, set aside political differences, and support those they were elected to represent and protect. As of yesterday, 2,533 St. Louis County residents have died from this pandemic. Tell the family of those who've died that you think the pandemic is fake. Tell these families that we should not wear masks. And tell these families that you think vaccines are experimental. Families are hurting. Show them some compassion. We must all come together. If we were not divided, this pandemic would be over. Wear a mask, be kind, be responsible, and do the right thing. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Page, we have a few. One from Paul regarding masks. Can you clarify what would happen if someone tries to enter a county-run building without a mask? Could they be removed by security? That's from Public Radio.
So the question is, what happens if someone comes into a public building, a St. Louis County government building, without a mask? The same thing will happen that's been happening. They will be asked to put on a mask, and our security officers are well trained, and they will de-escalate and avoid confrontation. We are not interested in confrontation, and I know there are some elected officials and there are some individuals in our community, rare, that are desperately seeking a confrontation over mask wearing. We are just not interested. Our security personnel are well trained in de-escalating conflict and those who are seeking conflict. Folks who try to come into a government building without wearing a mask will be asked to put one on or will be asked to leave.
A related question from the Post. Dispatch, the county council last night did not require masks to be worn inside the chambers. Does that undermine the mask order from September 27th?
So the question is about county council requirement to wear masks in the chambers. The county council did publish a notice on the agenda that said very clearly that masks are required at their meetings, which was a new publication, and I believe that is the opinion of the county council. Masks are required and have been required to enter government buildings, and masks were required last night for anyone entering the building. Now, if they get to the council chambers and take the masks off, then there is currently a disagreement among council members as to whether or not to ask them to put the mask back on or to have a further discussion about it. Every meeting that takes place inside of a government building will be determined by the folks running those meetings as to how they handle those conversations. I would continue to encourage de-escalation of those conflicts. I would continue to ask our county council members to discuss among themselves and to first set an example that they will follow the rules by wearing masks themselves. And that's the place to start. But I expect the council will continue to discuss how they manage folks who come to the council meetings without wearing a mask. And I hope that all of our conversations in the community, we will do our best to not get drawn into confrontation from those who seek confrontation, whether those are elected officials or otherwise.
You touched on this earlier, but this is a follow-up question from the Post. As the county executive, what role will you have in enforcing the mask requirement in county buildings?
So my role as county executive is to make sure everyone who's a county employee understands what the law is and understands what our rules are in county buildings. And currently that's the case. Everyone who enters a county building is reminded that they need to be wearing a mask and is offered a mask or asked to put on a mask if they're not wearing one. And we'll continue to do that. That's what happened yesterday. That's what's been happening for several weeks, and that's what we'll continue to do.
And
Okay, thank you.